Thiopurines refers to a class of drugs that suppress the normal activity of the body's immune system. Commonly prescribed thiopurine drugs include azathioprine, sold under the brand name Imurin, mercaptopurine, sold under the brand name Purinethol, and theoguanine, or 6-TG, sold under the brand names Tabloid or Lanvis. Different thiopurine drugs may be prescribed for different conditions. Azathioprine, or Imurin, is prescribed to prevent rejection after a kidney transplant and to reduce signs and symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis. Mercaptopurine, or Purinethol, is prescribed as a maintenance therapy for acute lymphocytic leukemia, and theoguanine, 6-TG, or Lanvis, is prescribed to induce remission in patients with acute non-lymphocytic leukemia. Thiopurine drugs may also be used to treat other autoimmune disorders, including Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, and lupus. When we take a medication, we usually take for granted that it will work. In reality, there is a lot that goes into how your body responds to a medication. Thiopurine drugs are processed by the TPMT enzyme. The TPMT gene tells the body how to make the TPMT enzyme. Variants in the TPMT gene may impair the body's ability to process a thiopurine drug, causing it to build up in the body. If thiopurine drugs build up in the body, they can cause severe, life-threatening side effects like bone marrow suppression. Bone marrow suppression is a severe decrease in cells responsible for providing immunity, carrying oxygen, and those responsible for normal blood clotting. Each gene associated with drug metabolism, including TPMT, is expected to have multiple sites of variation. Thiopurine drug response is determined by a combination of genetic variants, or SNPs, in the TPMT gene. Each combination of genetic variants in or near a gene is called a haplotype. There can be many different combinations of variants for each gene. To help identify the different combinations, a numbering system is sometimes used. In the example, one combination of variants in the TPMT gene may be called star1, while another is called star3C. The DNA sequence that makes an enzyme with normal or typical function is usually called star1. Since we have two copies of each gene, one from mom and one from dad, each person will have a combination of variants called a haplotype from each parent. When genetic testing is performed, the results are noted as two numbers, one representing each combination of variants in that gene, separated by a slash. For example, someone who inherited the combination of variants from their father, known as star1, and the combination known as star3C from their mother, would be a star1/star3C for the TPMT gene. Some people have combinations of variants that are rare and have not been studied or named. Sometimes the genetic test that is performed cannot determine a person's result with certainty. Haplotypes, or combinations of genetic variants, can be used to predict a person's TPMT enzyme activity level. For example, someone with a star1/star3C haplotype would be predicted to have intermediate or reduced TPMT activity level. Based on your genetic result, you will be placed into a predicted TPMT activity level category. There are three categories: low absent TPMT activity, intermediate reduced TPMT activity, or typical TPMT activity. For individuals predicted to have low absent TPMT activity, thiopurine drugs may be toxic. These individuals have an increased risk of developing severe, life-threatening side effects like bone marrow suppression if prescribed a standard dose of a thiopurine drug. Individuals predicted to have intermediate or reduced TPMT activity may be at an increased risk for toxicity at a standard dose of a thiopurine drug. Individuals predicted to have typical TPMT activity are expected to respond to a standard dose of a thiopurine drug with no increased risk of side effects. Your predicted TPMT activity level may be useful to your healthcare provider in making dosing decisions if you need a thiopurine drug. Your healthcare provider may also choose to use a different immunosuppressive drug based on your predicted TPMT activity level. It is important for you and your healthcare provider to keep in mind that the assigned TPMT activity level is based only on your genetic results. Other information, such as medications that you are on, may influence dosing decisions. In some cases, genetic testing provides some information to help determine the dosing category, such as low absent or intermediate reduced, but the specific dosing category cannot be predicted. In other rare cases, the CPMC will not be able to predict a TPMT activity level due to a technical limitation in the testing process. The frequency of each TPMT activity level can be different in each racial or ethnic group. The example shown is for the Caucasian population. Your personal CPMC results will show how common each TPMT activity level is in your racial or ethnic group. You can view this information in your personal report by clicking on the About tab and then the How Common tab. Information is not available for all racial or ethnic groups. If data is not available for your race or ethnicity, your report will include information for the Caucasian population. Only 25% of severe side effects, like bone marrow suppression, are caused by low TPMT activity levels. Other factors that can influence your response to thiopurine drugs and your risk of side effects include interactions between thiopurines and other medications that you take, how thiopurines impact other health conditions that you have, and how thiopurines interact with your lifestyle, like whether or not you smoke or drink alcohol. Some drugs, including prescription and over-the-counter, may affect how your body responds to thiopurine drugs or increase your risk for side effects. Talk to your healthcare provider if you are taking a thiopurine drug in addition to any other drugs. The following medications, when taken with a thiopurine drug, may increase the risk for side effects: allopurinol, warfarin, ACE inhibitors, ribavirin, and aminosalicylates. For a list of drugs that may interact with azathioprine, mercaptopurine, or thioguanine, please see the links on the educational page or in your report. Do not make any changes to your medications without talking to your doctor. As usual, there will be a lot of information in your CPMC results. Some of it will be general information, and some of it will be personalized to you based on your genetic test results. The About tab will provide general information. The Results tab will contain your personalized result, what we found in your DNA, and an interpretation of how your result impacts your TPMT activity level, and whether or not you may need a lower dose of a thiopurine drug or a different immunosuppressive drug. As you can see in the sample report, the CPMC tests for 4 variants in the TPMT gene. Each variant tested is listed by its RS number. This is the number used by scientists to name genetic variants. In the second column, you will find your results highlighted in yellow. Because we have 2 copies of every gene, one from mom and one from dad, everyone tested will have 2 results represented by letters, for example, GG, for each variant tested. In the last column, we give the reference value or expected result. Above the table, we provide the name for your combined genetic result. In some cases, your combined genetic result may not be certain. See the Your Result Interpretation tab for the impact of your combined genetic result on TPMT activity level, thiopurine dosing, and side effect risks. Your result interpretation will give you information about how your combination of genetic results impacts your expected TPMT activity level and whether or not you may need a reduced thiopurine dose or if a different immunosuppressive drug should be considered. For some results, we will not be able to provide an interpretation. It is important to note that CPMC testing alone cannot fully predict your response to thiopurines or any other type of drug. Other factors, like your weight, gender, race, other health conditions, and other medications, may also influence the way a person will respond to drugs. It is possible that you may have other genetic variants that occur in the TPMT gene that are not tested for by the CPMC. Also, it is possible that you may have variants in other genes that influence your response to thiopurine drugs. For more information about your CPMC thiopurine drug response results, consider sharing your CPMC results with your healthcare provider or contact a CPMC genetic counselor or pharmacist. You can also read the information provided on the CPMC Health Education page.